Here we are on the Clio homepage, www.theclio.com, where together we're going to walk through the first steps of making an entry. If you still have questions about what Clio is and how it works, check out the links in the description below. If you are a student, find your class and log into your class account using the password provided by your professor. If you are part of an organization that's creating entries, such as a historical society, find your organization under the Institution Login section. If you are creating entries on your own, either create an individual account or log in. Now we're ready to talk about the first part of making a great Clio entry, location. In the right-hand sidebar of the homepage, click on the button labeled Create an Entry. The first step is to pin the entry to the map. Enter the address or GPS coordinates of the landmark, marker, or museum you are writing about, and Clio will generate coordinates and put a pin on the map. You can adjust the positioning by dragging the pin to a more precise location. Clio's augmented reality feature in the mobile app allows visitors to use their cameras to see nearby historical markers. It is important to make sure your location pin is placed correctly so that visitors can easily find the historical site. Some sites, such as historical markers or graves, don't really have addresses. For sites like these, you can enter intersections and then fine-tune the location. Or if you know the GPS coordinates, you can enter them manually. For example, if I know my unaddressed monument is near a particular cross street, I can type the intersection into the address bar and move the marker from there to generate coordinates. Or you can generate coordinates by moving the pin around on the map. When you're satisfied with the location, click Next. Now we can make certain your site isn't already in Clio. Check the map and the list to see if it's there. If it is, no problem. You can still help us by reviewing and possibly improving that entry with additional information, images, and links. For now, let's assume you checked the map and the list for your site, and it's definitely not there. Great, click Next to fill out the details. Now we're ready to actually create the entry. Since you can save the entry as a draft, the title and introduction are all that is required to get started. We recommend composing the text of an entry offline. We'll cover the art of writing an entry later, but we want to mention that this process is much more enjoyable if you create an outline before you start writing. It can be difficult to combine research, note-taking, analysis, organization, and writing in one single step. One of the great things about Clio is that it incorporates Google Street View into every entry where it's available. If Street View has an image near your site, Google will pick the image it thinks is nearest the pin, sometimes on the wrong side of the street or opposite corner. But don't worry, in Clio you can fine-tune this by aiming the image so that visitors will see precisely where your building, historical marker, or monument is located, and they can scroll around and get to know the local area, which will help them when they arrive. Clio will automatically save the image you select in Street View. If Google Street View isn't available in your site's area, the viewer will appear black. If you disable Street View, the viewer won't appear in your finished entry, so that black box won't be distracting. To the right of that is where you add some more information about your site. For example, you can add visiting hours or a phone number. If you don't have that information yet, no pressure, it can always be added later. And plenty of places, like monuments or markers, don't have hours or phone numbers. While there may be some exceptions, it's usually best to create a single entry for a site that contains many markers that are very close together. In the case of a cemetery, for example, since there are rarely streets inside a cemetery by which Clio can provide directions, we recommend creating a single entry that encompasses most or all of the historically significant graves within it. You can include photos, descriptions, or perhaps a map of the cemetery, guiding visitors to the grave sites you've mentioned. Or if you are part of an organization such as a museum or historical society using an institutional account, you can go one step further and flesh out that entry with contributing entries. Contributing entries highlight additional places of note within a single larger entry. This features a way to create small-scale walking tours without overwhelming visitors with dozens of pins on the map. To add a contributing entry to a location, click on Create New Contributing Entry while you're editing the master entry. Please note that this button will only appear if you are part of an institutional account. We'll cover this feature in more detail in another video. You're almost ready to submit a basic entry. All we have left are the introduction and backstory sections. But we're going to take a look at that in the next video, so stay tuned for part 2.